Hey guys, Brad Haynes here with Haynes Martial Arts Academy, and we just wanted to highlight one of our partners here in the area. Kind of really, close to our heart. It's Safe Place and the Clark County Youth Shelter, and I have Ashley with me today, and just wanted to kind of highlight some of the things that they're going through. They're essential, an essential service at this time, and so they're feeling the same squeeze that all of us are, and just wanted to kind of talk to her about it and kind of get some information out for them. So Ashley, tell me, what ways do you support the youth and families in our community?
Sure. So at the Clark County Youth Shelter, we service every kid, or we could service potentially every kid from any county in the state of Indiana, because we're licensed through the Department of Child Services. So we get kids from the Department of Child Services or through juvenile probation. We could take any from any 92 county area throughout the state. So as it sits right now, today we are at capacity. We've been at capacity for several years. Very rare we do have a bed available, but I've got kids from Knox County, somebody from Hamilton County, Clark, Floyd. So the need for services of our agency is tremendous. We get calls every day for taking kids. Hey, we need this kiddo. They were removed from home because of abuse or neglect or any drug or alcohol issues by their caregiver. And we've gotten more and more of those calls through the COVID-19 pandemic because unfortunately facilities are closing because their staff or kids are coming in or contracting, COVID-19. So at that point, the state has said, once you have a staff or a kid, your referrals stop and then they figure out what to do. So facilities are temporarily closing because of COVID-19. Foster homes are not taking kids, or they are choosing to have the kids moved, to protect themselves or anything like that. So we're getting more and more calls, so we're full, which is, it's good and a bad thing. I don't have enough space. I wish I could house every kid they called for us, but we just can't do that. But for right now, COVID-19 is really putting a big stressor on us. Like you said, we are essential. We've had to really create, March 16th, I look back at my dates, that's really when we figured out a new plan for our staff, for our kids, what we were going to do. And we really kind of buckled down and hunkered down and really put ourselves into quarantine, so to speak. Our staff takes the temperature when they come in. They do it again when they leave. We take our kids' temperatures 3 different times a day, rather, to figure out, make sure they're not running a fever or anything like that. If they do have to leave for any reason, it's really only emergency situations we're letting our kids leave and our staff leave. We have masks, we have PPE for everybody. Which has been a huge difficult thing to have because we're eventually going to have to start opening our doors back up, but we are low on those supplies and low on those PPEs to be able to protect our kids and our staff. We've kind of had to put a temporary hold on some of the other things that we do in the community. You ask kind of what we do. Not only are we a residential group home, but we also offer several other classes. You mentioned Safe Place as well. We operate Safe Place for Clark and Floyd County. So that is obviously still going on during this. However, we've been extra careful, taking kids in that may need Safe Place, being extra cautious because we have to figure out where they've been. If they've been potentially exposed, what do we do then? So, knock on wood, fortunately, that's not something we've really had to really worry about, is Safe Place youth coming in, not knowing where they've been. But our other classes, like our parenting classes, our anger management, and our shoplifting prevention, and our living out loud groups, those have all been on hold, and we're tentatively looking on restarting those July 1, which will really help the community, I think, because everybody's going to be looking for an outlet at that point, like what's kind of gone on while they've, been in quarantine and that sort of thing. So at that point, we have to look at, do we have enough hand sanitizer? Do we have PPEs for the staff? Do we have enough cleansers to make sure when people are coming in our building to keep everything, up to par like we have been?
Yeah, that sounds like it's been a challenge for sure. And everybody's
Mhm.
going through challenges, but it sounds like
Sure.
what you've got and having to deal with children, and that makes it an essential challenge, a big difference.
It really is because, we obviously have to follow, DCS's guidelines, who then follow CDC and ISDH guidelines. When all this started, we sat in on probably 4 to 6 phone calls a week about COVID-19 alone. What can we do to protect our kids? What is the state suggesting? And at that point, when all of that began, we stopped all visitors coming in. So all of our stuff that we have for kids with therapists parents, case managers, it's all through Zoom. So that's a whole nother thing that, we're really having to learn. Being teachers for 10 kids and probably 8 different school systems is super fun and difficult at the same time, because not everybody has a computer, not everybody has a Chromebook to work on. So we have to space all of that work out, in addition to just maintaining the regular programming that we would do as well.
Wow. So something I was just thinking about while I'm sitting here is, we've seen in the news, and, something I think is maybe flying a little under the radar is with the Safe Place program and things of that nature. Have you seen a little bit of an increase because everybody, with children that may need to have a safer place, have you seen an increase in those type of calls?
We have not actually. The numbers have actually decreased as far as kids calling in and accessing the program. But I know some of the things you talk about being seen on the news is the kids are not in schools, so they're at home. So yes, the domestic violence and yes, the child abuse, allegations are going to be at a heightened level. However, if they're not in schools, they're not going to therapists, they're not at the doctor, and they're in their home and they're with their parents, the state is saying that once all this is lifted, chances are we're going to see those numbers spike, most likely, just because they're actually going to be able to get out and tell, some of those things. I know a couple teachers that we've talked to do interact with the kids quite a bit to hopefully be able to ask the teacher for help if they can do it on Google Classrooms or whatever Chromebook they have. But we have personally not seen an increase in Safe Place. Obviously, it's difficult. We can't really do a ton of outreach, but we've been on social media and sharing the social media that it's still there. So if kids do need that program, it's certainly there. But then we're still doing, the pre-screening questionnaires and that sort of thing as well, because those Safe Place youth come in, they're intermixed with the shelter kids as well. And if we've got kids that, maybe ran away, I've got to figure out how to keep both parties safe.
Absolutely. So, you've kind of touched a little bit how the pandemic has affected you. What are things that we can do to help? What can,
Sure.
the public in general do to help?
I mean, we sat down the other day and kind of looked at to see, how the pandemic has affected us. And we've seen that we've spent probably between $300 and $400 more on food per month, because we get on average 2.5 donations a day, whether it be, clothing or food or, other in-kind items that we're not taking those in because, say somebody had a funeral at a church and they had leftover cookies that they didn't use and weren't open. Traditionally, we would take those because it's a trusted source, I would take those. But right now, we just can't chance any of that. So we've pretty much had to cut off all donations of food. So we're spending more in food. So when we go to the grocery, we're spending a lot of money on non-perishable and perishable items, such as graham crackers, vanilla wafers, macaroni and cheese, that sort of thing that, you and I really don't think is that big of a deal, but we have to follow certain menu guidelines too. So everybody's going out and looking for a lot of the same things we are, but we just have to buy it in bulk because we have to cook for 10 kids, 3 meals and 2 snacks, 365 days a year. We go through a ton of food. So those non-perishable items, such as those things, to where, maybe milk and bread and eggs, like those are difficult things that when this all started, we had a really hard time finding. So when we found it, we were so grateful for it. So those are things that we're going through regularly. Also, activities to keep the kids busy. Obviously, they don't have school work all day. So they're really getting into, doing some more crafts and watching some more movies. So I've created, like on our Amazon wish list for the shelter, different movies that they would like, or some different craft activities. Other random grocery items like extra large Ziploc bags so we can freeze stuff, or trash bags, aluminum foil, things like that seem really random, but those are things that are like always on our grocery list. And especially right now, we're over cleaning everything. We actually had to replace our dryer because we overdid everything and the dryer just died. So it's one more thing that we didn't really need to happen right now, but we're taking extra steps to clean and that sort of thing. So we're running through cleaning supplies as well pretty quickly.
All right. So then, you mentioned your Amazon wish list. I don't personally know anything about that. So for anybody that doesn't know, how do they find your wish list on Amazon?
So a couple different ways. One is, I believe if you just go to Amazon and you kind of look, you can search for different registries and different lists. If you search for Clark County Youth Shelter. But one thing I've done a little bit easier is to post on our Facebook page. It's pinned to the top of the Facebook page. is kind of a running list that I go through on there that you can visit the link to see what we need. I believe there's some more movies and, like I said, some trash bags and dishwasher pods and that sort of thing that, it's kind of like Christmas when we get those things shipped to us, because we get random Amazon boxes that show up, people that buy for us, which is super helpful, because the way we're running through things right now with, 10 kids and then staff being there, two staff being there all the time, plus our administration is still there. We're going through a lot.
Sounds like it. All right. Well, one other thing I had a question. So in that wish list is like canned food, things like that. Is that good? If somebody had just a plethora of canned foods or anything that didn't drop off, because that's sealed, is that something that you guys say?
Yeah. Yes. And we are asking donations because I'm kind of coordinating all of that. They come through Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, which are our office hours. We have staff there all the time, but when we get in donations, we funnel it through door number 3. All the doors are numbered on our facility. So if people come Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 to door number 3, we were taking all donations there, and that way we can wipe everything down and record donor information and that sort of thing before we process it out to the kids.
That sounds great. Okay, so we'll get your information. We're going to put it in the comments below this post.
Perfect. Okay.
And this is going to go out to all of our groups and all of our pages across the area.
Great.
I'm sure, if you want to share it, guys, please share it. Let's help these guys out there. Are you government funded?
No, we are a private nonprofit. We do get state of Indiana per diem, since we do have a contract with the state of Indiana, but that's not nearly enough to cover our daily costs. So any in-kind donation is super helpful, especially right now. Like I said, our annual report shows that we average, if you do the numbers, it's about 1.5, 2.5, items a day is what we had been averaging before COVID-19. But obviously, we have to turn stuff away because we have to protect our kids, and everybody understands that. That's why we're kind of strict on the donations we are getting and when we are taking those in.
All right, great. All right, so we'll put all that information, and to my students, guys, share this information. Please go to the post, share it. We need to help these guys out. They're kind of dear to our heart here at the Academy, and so we really appreciate everything they do for the community. And we're a safe place here in Clarksville. So obviously we believe in the system. So is there anything else, Ashley, you want to put out there?
I don't think so. I just want to thanks everybody, ahead for thinking of us. Big or small, nothing is too small. We can always certainly, use any help we can get, because the kids that we help are right in your back door. Things that happen in the community that you may see on TV that you're like, oh, that'll never happen around here, or that you see something that happens nationally. Things happen around here, and it's pretty unfortunate. And I could tell you some stories that you probably just wouldn't believe, but I believe in what we do and why we do it, and anything we can do to, you guys can help us, would be really appreciated.
Fantastic. All right, guys, take action. Let's make it happen. All right. Ashley, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you letting me kind of interview you and talk to you online today. And guys, take care. God bless, and we will see you on the mat.
Thank you.